The girl next door had leukemia, yet Greg's mother still insisted that her socially anxious son go visit her.
Is that serious?
Greg was extremely reluctant, because even though they had always been neighbors, he had never spoken a single word to Rachel. But under his mother's constant pressure, Greg finally gave in and reluctantly forced himself to walk over to Rachel's house. When Greg met Rachel, he offered no comforting words and simply admitted why he was really there.
Just let me hang out with you for one day. I can tell my mom we hung out, and then we'll just be out of each other's lives.
Compared with all the same predictable words of sympathy she had heard before, Greg's honesty gave Rachel a rare sense of relief, and she agreed to his suggestion without much hesitation. Greg followed Rachel into her room, and since it was his first time inside a girl's bedroom, everything seemed new and interesting to him, though several unusual details quickly caught his attention.
This is a nice pillow. This pillow's a dude, obviously, but it reminds me of this pillow we used to have named Francesca.
Greg told her that he once owned an incredibly sexy pillow, but after the two of them developed a relationship that the rest of the world could never understand, his parents took the pillow away. The story might have sounded ridiculous to anyone else, but it perfectly matched Rachel's sense of humor.
That was good. Thank you.
Greg spent the rest of the day entertaining Rachel with his strange jokes, and what was supposed to be a routine visit turned into a surprisingly good beginning. From that day forward, their meetings became part of their daily lives, and Greg discovered that he and Rachel shared a strange kind of chemistry. No matter how painfully unfunny his jokes were, Rachel always understood them and somehow gave exactly the right response.
That's exactly what I'm talking about!
In a typical story, two people like them would seem destined to fall in love, but that never happened because they were simply friends. As they spent more time together, Rachel began to realize that the boy who seemed to be saving her was actually the one who needed someone to care about him. Greg was a high school senior, and in his mind, the school was like a society divided into different countries. There was the land of the athletes, the land of the honor students, and the land of the burnouts, while Greg saw himself as a citizen of the world. He moved freely between every group and could exchange a few words with almost anyone, but he never truly joined any of them. Greg was also terrified of the popular and attractive girls at school. In his imagination, those girls were powerful moose roaming through the forest, while he was nothing more than a tiny and helpless chipmunk.
She's just wandering through the forest, oblivious. And she doesn't even know that she stomped on your head.
Hey, Madison.
At school, Greg had only one real friend, Earl, whom he had known since kindergarten. Earl grew up in a chaotic family and matured far earlier than most people, while Greg came from a calm and peaceful intellectual household. These two boys seemed to have almost nothing in common, yet they shared the exact same passion, making movies.
Action!
Over the years, they had made 42 films together, and every one of them was terrible, but they enjoyed every second of it. Filmmaking was their way of breaking down and trying to understand a world that still made little sense to them. Greg had an extremely low opinion of himself. He believed he was so ugly that looking at him could make people sick, thought everything that came out of his mouth was worthless nonsense, and did not even want to apply for college.
College is just gonna be non-stop strangers, and some of them even live in your room. It's like you can literally never relax. I see myself dying of a panic attack 2 weeks in.
Rachel was the one suffering from a serious illness, yet whenever she spent time with Greg, she felt that he was the one who needed help more, so she decided to do something for him. With Rachel's encouragement, Greg tried eating lunch at school for the first time. Eating in public already made him uncomfortable, but eating in front of girls made him especially nervous. Just then, a hand suddenly landed on Greg's shoulder.
You guys mind if I sit with you? Of course not.
He tried telling a few jokes that he personally thought were funny, but in front of these perfectly normal girls, his sense of humor completely failed him.
Better not get it too close to me, otherwise I might just masturbate onto it.
Ew, Greg, that's just weird and gross.
The moment nobody was paying attention, Greg immediately escaped, and the image he had carefully maintained for 8 years collapsed in an instant. Although the attempt went badly, Rachel refused to give up. As Greg continued spending time with Rachel, Earl naturally became part of their friendship, and a strange chemistry began to form between the three of them. Two social outsiders and one well-behaved girl somehow became each other's closest companions, while Rachel became the first real audience member in Greg and Earl's movie world. Surprisingly, even though their films were terrible, Rachel watched them with genuine interest. That pure and sincere appreciation allowed Greg to experience what it felt like to be truly understood. The days continued to pass, but Rachel's condition did not improve. Because of chemotherapy, her hair began falling out in large amounts, her face became pale, and she grew weaker and more exhausted with each passing day. But the hardest part was not the physical pain, it was the way the people around her reacted.
Everyone comes in here and sees me, and they're so clearly repulsed. It's so much harder than I thought it would.
During those unbearable days, Greg's company became especially valuable. He would tell Rachel new jokes, and his ridiculous nonsense always helped her temporarily forget the pain of her illness. Rachel was also changing Greg in her own way, and with an attitude that allowed no argument, she forced him to apply for college.
What if I say no?
I have stage 4 cancer.
Greg filled his application with self-deprecating nonsense, while Rachel went through it and rewrote every negative description he had written about himself.
Because I have some growing up to do, and college is the place where I'm going to do it.
Because of Rachel's persistence, Greg eventually submitted his college application, but deep down, he still had no intention of actually attending college. He spent most of his time staying beside Rachel, and together they watched movies that everyone else considered terrible. As long as they were together, time itself seemed to slow down. Then one day, the Moose Girl came looking for Greg.
I realized you need to make a film for Rachel.
After learning about Rachel's illness, she had been trying to find a way to do something meaningful for her, until she heard that Greg knew how to make movies. Her suggestion placed Greg under a kind of pressure he had never experienced before. In the past, making terrible movies with Earl had always been easy and fun, but now Greg had to create a film for Rachel, one that carried everyone's hopes and good wishes. This movie absolutely could not be another failure. For the first time, Greg found himself overwhelmed by creative anxiety and had no idea what kind of movie he should make. Eventually, with Earl's help, he started filming. They interviewed Rachel's mother, friends, and classmates, asking each of them to stand in front of the camera and share a story about Rachel.
I believe in you, and you can do it.
You can do.
As time continued moving forward without waiting for anyone, Rachel's condition became increasingly serious. The chemotherapy no longer seemed to be working, and she became weaker, quieter, and eventually too exhausted even to smile.
It made me laugh. It kind of hurts.
Finally, after another painful round of chemotherapy, Rachel made a decision.
I'm probably gonna stop treatment pretty soon.
She no longer wanted the treatment to consume the little time she had left, and she wanted to say goodbye to the world in her own way, with dignity. Greg's mind went completely blank. Stopping chemotherapy meant giving up, and giving up meant death. Greg could not accept her decision, and for the first time, the two of them had a bitter argument.
Your mom forced you to hang out with me. Earl forced you to show me your movies. Medicine forced you to make a movie about me. So yeah, what part of this did you actually want to do?
Rachel's words left Greg completely speechless, so instead of facing the truth, he chose to run away. He rushed out of Rachel's house with his heart full of anger and resentment, then went straight to Earl and took all his frustration out on him. Greg blamed Earl for telling Rachel about their filmmaking, believing that Earl's actions had caused everything that followed. He accused Earl of being a traitor and said he never should have told Rachel about the movie they were making for her. Faced with Greg's accusations, the usually quiet Earl finally exploded.
And you want to come over here and whining about some irrelevant bullshit? Like, yo, you so close to me knocking your shit loose right now, son.
Go for it.
Oh, so you want me to hit you now?
Yeah, I don't care.
You want me to hit you now?
Yeah, Earl, I want you to.
Perhaps Earl was right. Rachel was the first person who had ever truly seen Greg for who he was, and now, the only person who made him feel that he had value was about to disappear. When everything was stripped away, Greg's emotions were partly driven by selfishness, and Earl's punch pushed their friendship to its lowest point. After falling out with both Rachel and Earl, Greg returned to being the lonely citizen of the world he had always been. His life quickly fell into complete chaos. Because Greg had neglected his schoolwork during his senior year of high school, his grades dropped sharply, his college application was rejected, and his parents got into a huge argument over it. Rachel's condition also continued to deteriorate, and she eventually had to move into the hospital. Every problem in Greg's life seemed to arrive at the exact same moment. One of his teachers noticed that something was wrong and called him into the office. After learning about Greg and Rachel, the the teacher said something that carried a much deeper meaning.
Even after somebody dies, you can still keep learning about them. It can keep unfolding itself to you just as long as you pay attention to it.
At that moment, Craig could not fully understand what the teacher meant, and he remained just as pessimistic as before. But during the time he had spent with Rachel, Craig had slowly begun to change.
Can I ask you something?
Nope.
He was no longer terrified of interacting with girls and had learned how to communicate with them normally. Around that time, a guy who had always disliked Craig came over looking for trouble. This time, Craig did not run away and instead chose to fight back. Of course, Craig had no idea how to fight, and he quickly found himself losing. At the crucial moment, Earl appeared and helped him out. The tension between the two boys disappeared during the fight. Without any unnecessary speeches or dramatic apologies, their friendship simply reconnected, and their bond became even stronger than before. Meanwhile, the girl began blaming herself for suggesting that Craig make the movie, believing that her idea had caused him too much trouble. So she went to find Greg and invited him to the graduation dance.
Is this a pity date?
No, it's not a pity date. Greg, just come to prom with me. I think we'd have a good time.
That evening, Greg carefully prepared himself and put on a proper suit. It was the first time he had ever participated in a school event, and his mother was relieved and proud. She told Greg that their conversation about college could wait, because enjoying the dance was what mattered most right now.
So you love this girl? No, I wouldn't go that far.
Greg got into a taxi, but the destination was not the dance. It was the hospital where Rachel was staying. Greg opened the door to Rachel's hospital room and found her lying silently in bed, her face pale and completely drained of color, her body too weak to produce even a single word. He gently placed the corsage around Rachel's wrist, then set up a projector and prepared to show her the movie he had created about her. This was the film's world premiere, and the only audience members were Greg and Rachel.
Let's just watch this first, okay?
The movie began. It had no traditional plot, no dialogue, and not even any sound. Craig had abandoned the idea of telling a conventionally emotional story, and he had also given up the fantasy that a movie could somehow save Rachel. Instead, he took every feeling and memory from the time they had spent together and rearranged them using the only method he truly understood. The result did not feel like a normal movie. It felt more like an emotional code that could never be translated into words. Greg placed everything he wanted to say but could never express out loud into that film.
Hey, should I get a nurse?
Greg did not know whether Rachel understood it, and he did not know whether she managed to finish watching it. Halfway through the movie, a nurse asked him to leave the room.
That was the last time I saw Rachel. She went into a coma shortly after that and died about 10 hours later. I know I told you she doesn't die. I didn't think she would, but she did.
Rachel's funeral was held inside her home. The living room was crowded with people who had come to mourn her, quietly sharing their memories of Rachel with one another. Greg quietly slipped outside and climbed through the window into Rachel's room, just as he had done before. Inside, he discovered a letter Rachel had left for him. Rachel had heard that Greg's college application had been rejected, so she wrote a letter to the admissions office. She explained that Greg had fallen behind in school because he had been caring for a terminally ill friend, and she asked the college to reconsider his application. Greg opened the college application guide Rachel had given him and found an intricate paper sculpture hidden in the center of the book. It showed Greg, Earl, and Rachel sitting beside the road and eating popsicles together, recreating the afternoon the three of them had shared. Greg began opening the other books in Rachel's room and discovered that she had transformed many of them in the same way. Inside every hollowed-out book was a tiny world that Rachel had created. Greg also began noticing details that he had never seen before. Along the edge of the wallpaper, he discovered a drawing of a little squirrel, much like the chipmunk he used to represent himself. Rachel had also experienced the pain and confusion of growing up, which was why she could see through Greg's disguise so easily and understand the loneliness he could never explain to anyone else. The secrets hidden throughout Rachel's room were things Greg had never noticed before, but now they rushed toward him like a powerful wave. At that moment, Greg finally understood what his teacher had told him. Even after someone leaves this world, you can continue discovering who they were and learning more about them.
Dear Pittsburgh State Admissions, I am writing on behalf of someone who gave me half a year of his life, at the time when I was at my most difficult to be around. The drop in his academic performance this year is a consequence of all the time he spent with me. You can ask him about it, but his sort of over-the-top humility will probably get in the way. No one has done more to make me smile than he has, and no one ever could.
Following Rachel's final wish, Greg sent another application to the college and included the movie he had made for her. Using the last of his familiar humor, Greg wrote a sentence on the note attached to the cover. Nobody knows what Greg's future will look like. Perhaps he will continue making terrible movies with Earl, and perhaps he will always remain slightly socially awkward, but he will never look down on himself the way he once did. Greg has finally discovered his own value. Greg represents the teenage years experienced by many people. He feels insecure but desperately wants to be accepted. And although he may still remain sensitive after meeting Rachel, he has learned to stop running away. Earl, another important character in the story, is almost the complete opposite of Greg. He grew up in a far more chaotic environment, yet he possesses the emotional clarity that Greg lacks. He can always identify the true heart of a problem, making him an irreplaceable guide throughout Greg's journey of growth. As a girl nearing the end of her life, Rachel uses her own unique methods to push Greg out of his comfort zone. She forces him to apply for college and encourages him to connect with other people. Even during the final moments of her life, Rachel is still building a path toward Greg's future. Only after Rachel's death does Greg truly discover the complete person she was through the paper sculptures, the letters she left behind, and every hidden detail inside her room. This helps us understand that a person's life does not end at the exact moment their heart stops beating. Their story continues, leaving traces inside the lives of other people. Remembering someone who has passed away should not be nothing more than repeatedly feeling sad. It can also become a process filled with discovery. We can read the books they once read, walk along the roads they once traveled, and learn the stories they never had the chance to tell. Through that process, we begin to understand that they never truly disappeared. They simply found another way to continue living inside our lives. See you next time.